Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are, whoever you are. Thanks for tuning in. Zero Authority is a community of people who believe in open source and permissionless systems built on stacks secured by Bitcoin. Today we have some special guests, John, Kuba, and Hamza from NeoSwap. NeoSwap provides neo barter solutions to unlock the value within existing marketplaces and enable marketplaces where they were previously unsustainable. John, Kuba, Hamza, how are you guys? Please tell us tell us what's going on within your world.
Okay,
Kurt,
great.
how are you?
Doing well.
Hi.
Good.
Hey, yeah. Well, thanks a lot for having us on. It's really a pleasure. This is, one of the first kind of public events we've done for NeoSwap, and maybe should I just tell a little bit of background of our company, how we got into this? Would that be good?
Please.
Okay. Yeah. So we have another company that does AI services for food and beverage. Okay, and that's a successful, happy company. We have 11 employees in 7 countries. My background is in math. I have a PhD in math. I did my postdoc in computational neuroscience, and then I've been a market research consultant for 15 years. So it's kind of my background. 3 years ago, I started my own company. I've been really fortunate that Hamza and Kuba, who can introduce themselves in a second, kind of joined us, and they have a lot of technical prowess. So we started working on this project the spring of last year, kind of around the time that I discovered stacks. And we could talk a little bit about it, but maybe to take a step back and explain what neo-barter is. Neo-barter is a new way of conducting commerce where people have goods, which could be physical or they could be digital, like NFTs. They bring them together and we find ways to exchange those goods in complicated ways that benefit everyone, like multi-way trades. So it's really a new thing and you have to get your mind around it. And we'll show you the demo. Personally, it really, for me, this is going to be, well, I'll tell a story about this in a second. Let's let Hamza and Kuba explain how I got into it. But maybe Hamza, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you, John, and thank you, team, for letting us on joining this live stream with you guys. So my name is Hamza Diaz. I am working with John for almost 2 years as a director of technology at Agora, which is the main company. So basically, my experience is in full stack development and working on front end, back end. So basically, working on mobile apps, both for Android and now iOS. And I spend most of the time programming and coding, especially because I'm a full stack developer for a couple of years. Well, at NeoSwap, I'm the CTO, and my background basically is in computer science and telecommunications. So that's basically me, very IT guys, and Kuba can be next.
Hi. Happy to be here. My name is Kwiecien. I also met John like almost 2 years ago. First started working for him on a couple of projects, and then gradually started to be more involved. First with Agora, the consulting company, and currently I'm head of AI, and now with NeoSwap I'm CIO. I'm in general data guy. My background is in theoretical physics. I worked in various companies in data science positions, and yeah, happy to be here with you. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great. Well, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell the story? Do you want me to show up? Maybe.
Sure. I'm curious. I mean, the first thing I noticed was NeoSwap.ai. Like, I didn't even know there was a .ai possible on a website. So.
Hey,
oh yeah.
Before we jump in here too, you guys had a name change, and it was a public name change there where you got some community feedback.
Oh yeah. So well, why not? I'm a market researcher, so. Yeah. So we were Tradimple, which means trading made simple. Okay, that was the idea of Tradimple, and I like that name. And apparently, not many other people did because they would. So, I got told things like it sounds like a skin disease, or it sounds like pimple, or it sounds like dimple. And I have a dimple, so I thought that was all right. But anyway, we decided.
I told Kurt and Hoddle that it sounds like one of those late night infomercials where you're going to take some medicine where you're over 65, and then they give the disclaimer, this could cause severe death. So use in agreeable quantities.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, for those reasons, we went ahead and decided we needed to change it. And so I thought, well, why not reach out and see what people think? And we got all sorts of suggestions. We ran multiple polls. And in the end, actually, it was Nick from Stacks NFT suggested NeoSwap. And for us, it just totally clicked. I mean, for me, like growing up, I don't know about you all, but like swap meets were a thing. You know, that's something that people
used to love
do.
those.
And so the idea of like a NeoSwap meet to me is really kind of fun. But our long-term vision is like NeoSwap, like Neo barter is actually the field of economics this comes from. That going on everywhere. It's very sustainable to move all these goods around rather than buying new goods, to take the existing goods and move them around. So there's actually a big vision with Neo barter that we're bringing to the world. But it just turns out that NFTs are like the perfect way to start. So maybe could I show a little chart and explain it?
Yeah,
people may have
please.
seen these charts. Let me go ahead and pull this up. So do I need to, I'll share my screen in the, yeah, there we go. Okay, great. So you're showing, okay, hold on. It seems like we're in an infinite loop here. Okay, here we go. You want to share my screen again? And
yeah, go ahead and share your screen, and then I will display it. Perfect.
Okay, great. All right, and I'll go ahead and move you guys over to the screen. Okay, great. So what's going on here? This is actually a trade that we did earlier today. And when you see this, what this means is that you've got, so you all can see this? This chart? Okay. So, it might look like a kind of a mess, but actually there's something really important going on here, which is that we've got, in this case, so we had 7 people who were involved in this trade, and they all got together. They had NFTs that they were willing to trade or sell. Okay, and we'll do a demo in a minute. And the idea is you list your NFTs in this little event, which we're calling a NeoSwap meet. You put your NFTs in the room, you set your reserve prices, then you see everybody else's items along with the reserve prices. You bid on them, you set a budget, and then we solve to find the best trade for the group. And actually, we can find lots of good trades. So this was a trade that was executed. And you can see that you've got NFTs moving around, you've got sacks moving around, and these 7 people would never in a million years, through chatting on Discord, ever figure out that this is the right way to move the items around. But this is good for everybody. So we simultaneously benefit everyone. So if you've ever had the experience after a mint where you really like the collection, but maybe a little bit disappointed with a few of the items you got at the mint, then a NeoSwap meet is a great way to resolve that. You get together with other people and you move them around, right? Because maybe I don't like my item, but Zero loves it, right? And unfortunately, he doesn't have anything that I love, but maybe Hamza has something that I love, and we can find this trade. And maybe they have unequal value. So I have to give Hamza my NFT. Maybe I have to actually pay Kuba some money, give Hamza my NFT. Kuba sends something to Hamza. Hamza sends something to Zero. And then I get something, right? These complicated trades. So these are really beautiful. And this stuff is honestly revolutionary because the ideas have been around for a long time, maybe about 20 years. Neo-barter ideas have been around kind of in the academic literature. But there's always been this missing piece when you try to do things. And maybe I can just go back to regular talking if I can stop sharing. Let me see. Okay, great. There's always been this issue when you try to do barter in the real world. It's a complex trade. As soon as one person doesn't do what they're supposed to do, the trade is broken. Okay, and you have a problem, and you have to solve it with escrow or whatever. But when you do it in a Web3 environment, as soon as you know what the trade is that everybody likes, you can write the smart contract, and that's what our app does. It writes the smart contract that reflects that trade. We deploy it. Everybody signs it. When it's signed, the items move. And if somebody doesn't sign, the contract gets canceled, and the items don't go anywhere. So the practical problem with barter goes away in the Web3 environment. So it's now like the final piece. This is what we've been needing, right? So you had barter. It's really funny because you had barter once upon a time, okay? And then you have this problem that if you've got like chickens and cows, it's kind of hard to work out what should happen. So money got invented, and that helps, right? And then you have like the evolution of money. You had local currencies. Maybe somebody just had a secure location for storing valuables, and they became the bank or whatever. Eventually, you have state currencies, and then you all know this history very well, right? Where you go through, reserve-backed currencies, and then you've got fiat currencies, which is kind of the beginning and the end. And so, because that gets totally corrupted, as we're seeing now. I mean, of course that was going to happen. But then along the way, you also have Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is kind of like to my mind, the final evolution of what is the problem of money? What's problem does money solve? It's finally solved by Bitcoin. Now, there's still some practical issues where maybe you don't need all the security, you don't need the full energy usage of the network for every transaction. That's why things like Lightning or Stacks are valuable, right? Because they increase the utility of Bitcoin. But that's kind of the end of the line when it comes to currency. And then meanwhile, you've got the sharing economy going along. And then you have Ethereum and you have Stacks with smart contracts. You bring it all together and you get neo-barter, because this is kind of a sharing economy now that's running on a digital currency. And you do it on Stacks, it's kind of the final thing, because now it's backed by the ultimate sound money. And so I think it is really exciting. And so we're working on NFT trading. That's our starting point. But what we're really interested in would be real world goods. And you can imagine something with city coins, where you've got furniture in your house. A very common problem is people would give their furniture away if someone would just come get it. But it's not enough. It's not any value in that. Nobody's incentivized to come get the furniture because they don't know what to do with it. You could solve with lots of pieces of furniture, move furniture all around a city. Everybody who gives up the furniture just gives it up for free. Everybody who gets furniture pays for it. And then that money subsidizes the people going around with the trucks to get the furniture. And now suddenly you have the circular economy, a truly circular economy, where instead of recycling things, you're recirculating them. It's a much more sustainable economy. And so this is where we're going with all this, that we would like it to be the case that all these books, I mean, a lot of these books I'll never open again, probably, right? All these books I have never opened ever. And
Hey,
yeah.
John. So this actually reminds me of this huge TED talk where someone was able to eventually like swap, like I forget the story. You guys probably know it.
Paper clip to a house, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's this guy. His name is Francis. He's been asking me to trade one of my indigos, and he's been offering all types of trades. And I don't have enough time, and I'm too dumb to know, okay, are these things enough value? And so if you bring this whole marketplace together of people that can trade all of these things and based on smart contracts, this gets really interesting.
Definitely. And our kind of starting point is like the long-term vision is to have an API that's kind of a B2B solution, kind of Amazon Web Services of NeoBarter. That's what we want in the long run, where lots of businesses could plug into this and use it. Any marketplace could plug in. Anyone with a business idea could plug in and use our tools to facilitate NeoBarter. In the short term, we have our events, the NeoSwap meets. So if someone out there is a community manager or an organizer or an artist, especially artists, we love artists. Both of my wife's parents were artists, so it's really nice to be able to work with artists. If you're an artist that's wanting to organize an event for your community after, say, a mint, and you want to rearrange items, we can do that right now in our room, and we'll do a little demo in a minute. We would like to partner with marketplaces, and we're talking to Stacks NFT about having some sort of plugin there, because you can imagine all those items are listed, right? And this is where the AI comes in, where you have your items listed for sale, okay? And you bid on people's items. Now the algorithm can already maybe match up complex trades based on that, right? But another thing that could happen is once we know your purchase history and we know the purchase history of other people on the network, we can start to predict through the machine learning that we do in our kind of day jobs. Like we can start to predict who's going to want which item, how much they're going to value it as, and we can start to propose trades. So it's like a complex NeoBarter recommendation engine. That's where this is going. And so you could get a notification every day, hey, we found some good trades for you on Stacks NFT. And if everybody's interested, then the things move. And it's like constant, that would raise all the floor prices of the NFTs on Stacks, because you wouldn't, all the items that people were willing to dump, now they get better items. So
Wow.
Yeah, very positive.
So before we jump in, so you obviously had the AI company operating and running smooth, and so you've been working on this idea, or just like had this inkling for an idea. That's kind of how we came to have Zero Authority. This idea has been boiling for a while. So what was the tipping point where you said, okay, NeoSwap needs to happen and it needs to be on Stacks?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are a bunch of things. I mean, I went to the Bitcoin conference last year, and that was very exciting. You know, I around that time was starting to find out about Stacks, and I got really excited about how well developed the tools are. The tools on Stacks are great. The Clarity programming language is, I think, really beautiful language, very well designed. So I think that was part of it. Part of it was just an awareness, you know, with all the Web3, the trading, whatnot, that this was going to happen. And I really feel like deep in my soul, this is like why I was put on Earth, was to do this thing. And so I wasn't going to miss my chance to do my thing. So it was like, we have to do this. So we started to really, really push on it. And I have to say the Stacks community is great. That's been another thing that's really drawn me. I mean, you all probably experienced this too. I don't know if I've been in a community that's as supportive and positive and upbeat and forward moving as the Stacks community. So I think that's been part of it too, is we've been carried along by the momentum of the groups. That's something I feel a lot of gratitude for. Yeah. Hamza, Kuba, did you want to join in a little bit about your experience getting involved in this?
Well, yeah. So as I said, at first, when I've met John, I started and we're working on a couple of projects for him. And then around the same time, we discussed about me joining full time. He started mentioning this great idea that he has about transforming world economy, and like this kind of excitement and like all the time when
That's what an
John
excited
was
person looks like.
yeah, I mean, I'm talking about you, John, that it like goes all around you, how much you are excited, and already then you were excited about that, and that really got me. That that's something something big.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wasn't at first sold at the idea totally. Like, it took me some time to understand the implications, but like seeing so much passion in John and how much he's sure that it will be a great thing, that's something that really impacted me. And also it was a tipping point for me to join full-time at Agora. So, that's how my journey with NeoSwap began.
Kuba is super talented, I should say. Very lucky to have Kuba on board. Yeah.
Hamza, how about you, man?
Yeah, so, well, about me, actually, more or less similar to what Kuba mentioned, but actually, I'm originally born in Morocco, and I was born in close to a market. We call them souk. So bartering is actually an internal culture in the Arabic world, basically. And when John mentioned this, and he showed me that it is actually possible to solve bartering more intelligently with the solution he showed us, formerly called Trademple, I was honestly impressed because there's nothing like this in the whole world. This is super new, and once he started like selling us the idea, because it's hard, it's something quite new, and it's not easy to understand it at first. Because this is we can say like there's blockchain, there's smart contracts, and there's basically NeoSwap. This is super new, and once you get it, then you feel like this is gonna change the future at some point, sooner or later. And this is why, like, I mean, we've been excited to work on this. I think since we connected with, with the Web3, and we basically wanted to start on Web3 on NFTs because NFTs have the smart contracts, and we want to experiment this in this niche, but we're gonna grow even more, and because we really want to transform the world economy. And I mean, honestly, this is basically my point of view about NeoSwap.
So glad to have you guys. And I would also be remiss too. So I wanted to, in the same vein, John, where you were saying the community is just so opening and welcoming, and everyone really wants everyone to do well. So this morning, Wilson from Block Survey reached out and he was like, "Hey, I noticed you guys are using Google Forms. Reach out. Let me know how we could get you set up with Block Survey to do surveys that are privacy focused." And so I really appreciate that from Wilson. And he was one of the first guests we ever spoke to with Zero 30 and helping us build our platform. So just everything you guys said about the Stacks community, it's a bunch of very smart people who are dedicated to making the world a better place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we met with Wilson recently. I have to say, he's a great guy. And
He's
Block
awesome.
Survey, yeah. And it's funny, we might do something with Block Survey and our other company because we do market research. We work with all these CPG companies. So there may be some synergy there. So yeah, it's good to network, I would say.
Yeah, we love it. Yeah. Hey, so why don't we go into a demo? Or Kurt, did you have anything else?
I just want to say that if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and comment below, and then your comments will actually appear on the broadcast and the team can answer them. And then if you can kind of explain, how does it all work? Like, is it all in one block? And like, are you going to set the trade up for like 12 hours, 24 hours? And then like, for example, me, like I'd like to swap maybe 5 NFTs for this NFT that I can't purchase by itself, right? Like I would try to do some type of multi-trade.
Right. Well, there's different pieces to it. So at the end of the day, you can think of there's really two main components, right? One is, if I guess three components, you collect data from people somehow, or you make predictions as far as who likes what, right? That's going to be the first stage. You have some sort of data collection that happens. Then you have the trade optimization part. That's the core. That's the Tridimple algorithm. That's like the core engine, finding the best trade. And then you have to write the smart contract. Okay. Now, actually, I think that we actually met yesterday with Will from the Stacks Foundation, and I think we're going to be putting a grant in to have open source tools for writing the smart contract once you know what trade you want to do. If you have a complex trade you want to execute, that there be some sort of a front end where you can just put it in, you and whoever you're going to trade with, you just put it into the dashboard, press go, it'll write the smart contract, everybody signs it, and then the trade happens. So that last part, so that'll be just an open source tool that will be available to the community, because we want to promote the use of Neo Barter. And so anybody who knows what trade they want to do, and that's kind of the current state of things on Solana and ETH, is if you know what trade you want to carry out, then you can put it in, and there are tools that write the smart contract. There is nothing like the fully formed end-to-end solution that we have for entering information, solving for the best trade, and writing a smart contract. So when people say, isn't everything on Stacks just a clone of stuff on ETH? This is not. NeoSwap is something that's only on Stacks. So that's the answer to that question, if everyone. But be careful. We don't want to give away our jewels.
And who pays for the trade? Is it the person who writes the contract, or is it the final signature person?
Yeah, the actual when the trade is deployed, NeoSwap pays for the trade. And if I can share my screen again, we can look at the trade. I can show you what happens. That every time the trade happens, every time one of these trades happens.
Let me find your screen first.
Do you need me to maybe share it again, or are you going to pull it up? And then actually, I'll use my
You
screen.
might need to share again. I don't.
Okay.
Or maybe switch me to the different screen.
Okay. Yeah.
There it is.
Okay, great. So you see this? So you see NeoSwap is actually up here, and NeoSwap is making money on this trade, because what happens is, because we find these differences in subjective value is created by our trades. These are win-win-win trades. So every trade is generating value, and that means that the event can capture some of that value. So what happens is NeoSwap is capturing some of this value, and then NeoSwap pays for the contract when it's deployed. Okay. Now everybody's going to have to pay some gas fees when they sign the contract, which is pretty normal. As part of our open source tools, something else that is kind of interesting. Can I stop sharing again?
Yep.
Right now, now I could be wrong about this, because there's always, when you say there isn't anything, it's a hard claim to make, because there might be something we missed. But as far as I know, the way that the royalty contracts, or the royalty pieces of NFT contracts on Stacks are written, they only are activated or triggered when a sale happens. So if, like Zero, I give you an NFT and you give an NFT to Kurt and you give me an NFT, Kurt, there wouldn't be any royalties. If we were just to work that out and send each other our NFTs, royalties would not get paid. And so one of the things that we want to do, and we also talked to Will about this as a grant, is to work to help to develop a standard for the NFT contracts, so that when swaps occur, there is also a royalty paid to the artist. You know who the artist is. And so every time that an NFT changes hands, there's a royalty paid to the artist. Okay. And maybe there could be some validation that, like, if it's moving from one of your wallets to one of your other wallets, we have to work out these kinds of details. Maybe if you're just moving it around your own wallets, you wouldn't have to pay the royalties. I don't know. We'd have to figure that part out. But we need to get royalties in for swapping, because they're not in there right now. Right now, they're just for sales. Okay. And then within this movement, then what we'd like to do is extend the kind of open source project for the smart contract for multi-way trades. We would want that to respect the royalties. So when the items are moving, royalties are also getting paid. And then we have to figure that out in terms of integrating it to the platform. So right now, it's just there aren't royalties right now, because that's not the way that the smart contracts are written. Right now, it's just the items move, the room captures some of the value. And if we work with an artist, we would split that value with the artist. That would be like, artist helps us to organize an event. And we're talking to several artists about this. Artists helps us to organize an event for their community, and then that's an extra way for an artist to generate revenue, is by it's a little like Tupperware parties back in the day, where you host a Tupperware party and Tupperware sells, and then you get some of the money. It's a little bit like that. So
hey, so are you working with people that are going to launch a project, an NFT project, or are you, obviously you mentioned Jamil, and Jamil's actually going to be on the creator spotlight for our community call next Friday. He's going to talk about the creator portal for STX. But you're in that phase where, is it before the mint, is it after the mint, or is it once there's a marketplace?
Yeah, right now, the easiest way for us to do it is after the mint. People have their NFTs. And rather than people just dumping the NFTs that they didn't like on the open market, what you do is you say, hey guys, don't dump them. Let's do a NeoSwap meet where we get together and we trade them, and everyone will be better off. And then what happens is those items never hit the market, and the floor price of the collection is maintained, right? Rather than it being dropped by people trying to dump their items. So that's where we are right now. There is, if you were to collect data before the mint, right? Maybe you sell tickets and then you let people bid with their tickets. You could do a smart mint. And that's something that we would like to do. And it'd be nice to collaborate with Jamil. By the way, we love Jamil. Just like to say, Jamil, you're an awesome person. That when you meet him, he's the type of guy you could like be comfortable giving $100 million to, because you can tell he's like totally solid person.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, not that I have $100 million, but if I did,
You'd be the guy.
Yeah.
Hey, and Zero Authority would love to get in that round, whatever we can. We would. It's kind of like that Futurama meme. Just shut up, and take my money.
Yeah. No, he's a very solid person.
Yeah.
No, but that'd be the sort of thing we collaborate with him, because you would do a pre-sale before the mint. You do this pre-sale with tickets, and then anyone that participates in that can get. That what happens then is they get items that they like at mint rather than just random items. So that would be an idea. And of course, with airdrops, the same thing can happen to a smart drop or after an airdrop. For example, with the Megapont components, this would be a great application. Actually, I'd like to talk to the Megamont people if anyone here knows.
I mean, they've got a big one coming up, right? Mid-April.
Yeah, they have MegaConks coming up.
And
Mr. Xenon or Mark or any of the ape folks, if you're watching this would be awesome to implement.
Yeah, so that would be great to collaborate with you. So right now we're talking to artists about doing just these events for their communities after the drop. And it's a good way for artists to collaborate too, because the items would get, across the communities would get shared. So I think we can do a demo now for you
Sure.
if you'd like. Okay, so let me just move you back over here. And if you can wait for a second to make sure I have the right screen. Okay, yeah, here we go. You can share the screen. I think it's good. Okay. All right, so this is our kind of front end. So NeoSwap.ai is the business that provides the tools. And then what we have here is NeoSwap Meet is this event. We're still open to changes to this name, NeoSwap Meet, although I personally like it. If anyone has a better idea, let me know. Okay, so we've got this room that's been created. Oh, and I should say, maybe just to fully show how this works, let me log. Can you stop sharing for a second? I'm going to log out of my wallet, and I'm going to show logging into the wallet.
I understand.
All right, so let me just do this.
And also, one other thing you mentioned too, because Crash Punks, when they did their launch, they held on to a certain percent for the foundation. So I would imagine this would be something pretty useful too for that collection that they still have to release.
Right. Yes. These tools are very well suited to auctions or silent auctions. If you've had the experience at a silent auction where you like lots of items, but you're afraid to bid on everything because you might win everything and have to pay for it. Part of this, well, it's a real problem, is part of this is you get to set your budget. So you're going to sell some items and you're going to buy some items. If you owe money, you have to pay that difference. But one of the things you can specify is I don't want to pay more than 20 stacks, or I don't want to pay more than 100 stacks. So no matter what happens, you'll be under your budget. Okay, you won't exceed your budget. You'll see that in here. So if you're going to do an auction, suppose that they wanted to raise money for the foundation and they were going to do a silent auction of, 50 Crash Punks that they held on to. People could bid on those, and then we would hand them out in a smart way, right? Because suppose Zero and Kurt, you are both at an auction, okay? And for the first item, you both like the first item, okay? Maybe Kurt, you would bid 100 stacks, and Zero, you'd bid 90, right? And for the second item, let's say only Kurt you like, you're the only one that likes it, and you would bid 80 for it, okay? It's better from the sake of fundraising to let Zero have the first item for 90, and then let Kurt let you have the second item for 80, right? Now that you have 170 stacks that have been made, then so because maybe Kurt, you have a budget, you didn't want to spend more than 150 stacks or something. Maybe the alternative is you buy the first item, Zero goes home with nothing, nobody buys the second item because you didn't bid on it because you wanted the first item or whatever. It's kind of an element of capitalism and communism at the same time, like the good parts of communism, where we're going to plan and work things out together.
I like to say game theory.
Game theory. Yeah, it solves some of the game theoretic problems with all.
YouTube might kick us off, by the way.
There may be none. Maybe that's an oxymoron. But in terms of the selling, the marketing around communism, that's the yeah. So let me go ahead and share this.
Okay.
All right. But that's why we say it's the evolution of commerce. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and connect my wallet. And so this is my Connect My Hero wallet to this.
Do you want me to share or not?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. It's sharing.
Sharing? Okay, great. So let me just go back and show this in action. All right. Okay, so just like any kind of Web3 app, you're going to connect your wallet. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I'm connected. Now I'm in. Now Hamza has made this room, and there's different ways we would distribute these. Maybe in the trading channel of Discord, you might say, hey, let's do a NeoSwap meet. You got a bunch of people that are talking. Let's do a NeoSwap meet. You put the link to the room in the channel, then everyone can go into the room. So here's the room. And I joined it.
So you said you have to invite people to do this?
Yes, right now.
Right now. Okay.
Yeah,
current version.
Yeah. Well, we are worried about scams, right? You definitely want to be careful. And so we're very aware of that. So that's why right now we want it to be trusted community. Ideally, there's some verification. We wouldn't want there to just, like if we were to open this up in the wild, you would have all sorts of spoofing and all sorts of stuff. Like we need to make sure that's all locked down. Right. Okay. So I'm going to open this up. So notice in this little demo, and we've got a few team members on the call here. I should put some shout outs here. So we've got Tien, who is actually a PhD taste neuroscientist for Agora. She's joined. Paratosh is a machine learning engineer. He's our assistant director of technology at Agora. And let's see, Jakub and Hamza. Okay, so we have 5 people in this trade. I'm going to go ahead and pick some NFTs that I'm willing to trade or sell. Some of these might take a little longer to load, so I'll just go ahead and pick some of these. This is a good example where you have these, like these pixels that they all were 5 stacks, but some of them I really like, some of them I don't like. And maybe the ones I don't like, somebody else would be, would like. All right, let me give a shout out to my friend Shudu, who is the African illustrator. His art is very cool. I actually have on my wall some of his art.
I love those, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got them on canvas on my wall. So, yeah. All right, so let's say now what we're going to do is those are the items that I'm willing to sell or trade today, okay? So now what I can do is set my reserve prices. So let's say I don't really care about this. So I'll put 2, 7. Now, what's interesting is for this kind of, Scrabble collection, maybe there really could be big differences in terms of what people want. Because if you really need an A could be worth a lot to you, right? And if you have a lot of A's and you need an O, you may be willing to give the A away. Okay, so these were priced around 5. So let me go ahead and put these in according to how much I like them. So 4, 8. Let's see, I like this one actually quite a lot. Something I don't really care for.
So in all, you're going to do like 10 NFTs? Is that what you're doing?
It looks like 10, yeah.
Okay.
All right, and I'll put 15. I would normally ask for more than 15. We're not going to sign the smart contract. This is going to be a demo. I should like that. But I put 15 in as the max. So that's a valuable item for me. In real life, I would certainly sell that for more than 15. Okay. So now what's happened is everybody's done that. And now I'm going to see the other NFTs from the other people in this, this event. Okay, so let's take a look and see what I like. I actually like these candies. So for me, that's a good price. So you can see the reserve price. This is the kind of asking price that people are. So I like that. That's good. Really like this. Like that. That's nice. Yeah.
By the way, are these all on-chain transactions?
So these were all read from the wallets on chain. And when we sign the smart contract, it'll be on chain. So this is live on the Stacks mainnet.
Okay.
Right now, this is just happening in our, this is happening just in our kind of event.
Test.
Yeah. Well, the thing is we gather the information, we feed it to the API, we find the best trade. Once we find it and everyone agrees, then we write the smart contract and the transaction happens on chain.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we're off chain at the moment. We've read the data from the chain. We're collecting information. We're going to find a solution. Then we're going to go back and write the solution on chain at the end. Okay. So now here are the items with the reserve prices. I can increase my bid. So let's say I actually like this one a lot. So I'm going to increase the bid to 7. And I go through, that's fine. I'm only going to really increase the bids when I like them a lot. I want to like a lot. That's fine. Okay. Now here's where I can set the budget. Because notice I didn't have to hold back when I was bidding. I didn't have to worry because I can't overspend because I'm going to set my budget here. So no matter what happens, I don't want to spend more than 20 stacks. Let's see. So who hopped in this room? Oh, Vanessa. Okay. Let's see, Vanessa. We had another member of Agora, PhD food engineer, actually, who is selecting some items. So as soon as she's done, okay. There we go. Okay, great. So she's done now. Oh, no.
We'll move a thing without.
In the interest of time. Okay, so we removed her. That's fine. All right, so now what's going to happen is, like normally in the full version, we're going to do a kind of quicker version just for illustration purposes.
Okay.
Normally what would happen is you would get choices. You would be asked, would you trade this for that? What about this for that? You get a bunch of choices. We take the yes answers from everybody and we build the final trade. That's how the actual final trade is found. Okay. Then the smart contract is written. Everybody has just said yes to that trade, so they should sign the smart contract. If they don't, then it wouldn't happen. But it's very smooth at that point. And so you can see I traded away these items. Now, in real life, I probably wouldn't have sold my African Amazons, but those are items that I was willing to give up. I got items I liked. I paid 26. So this is actually a ferocious deal for me. This was a great trade. And now in a minute, we're going to see. So maybe we can stop sharing and talk for a second. Kuba will have an animation that shows what just happened. And you'll see a trade within 5 people that happened in like 5 minutes that you never would have found otherwise. That was good for everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. And we're, as far as time, we probably have about 5 to 10 minutes left here.
Oh, okay, great. Well, Kuba can show his the GIF, I think. Do you have it up yet, Kuba?
I need probably 10 more seconds and I'll have it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what do you think about that? You like it? I hope you do. We like it a lot.
I would actually have used this many times because I've had, and Kurt would also admit, we have a ton of NFTs. Mm-hmm. So something like this, if it existed months ago, I'm sure you guys would have a ton of volume. I'm also curious, are you guys using TensorFlow or did you have to build the entire algorithms yourself?
Yeah, that's our own solver. Yeah. But that's kind of our jam. So that's what we do. Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, this also too, and here's one of the other reasons why I love Stacks is not only are a lot of teams pushing the boundaries, but like even StackSwap, they have people that are building their own AI algorithms. You guys are using your own AI algorithms. So as far as these Lego blocks continue to keep coming online especially on the mainnet, I can't even imagine how these things are going to be connected.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Can you zoom out just a touch, Kuba? So it's okay, great. So you see Vanessa, we had to take her out of the room because we're just trying to move
now
forward.
There on the page you showed us, it had a animated GIF that you could make from each trade. Is this that GIF?
That's the GIF, yeah. So when it's over, once it renders, you'll see the picture. So everyone gets to see the picture. But in the interest, Kuba can generate it faster, so we just did it.
And so every time everyone does a trade, you can get a GIF.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
we thought of making an NFT out of it, a commemorative NFT.
That's
cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So check this out. What's the chance we would have found this by talking? Like 0, right?
Not at all.
Yeah, but so look what happened here. Now this is a representation because there are actually multiple pictures that would explain what happened. But in terms of if you go from the beginning, the initial state to the end state, this is a story that would reflect that change. And so you can see that I'm actually sending NFT. Okay, look. So I send money to Paratosh. I send 2 NFTs and some money to Hamza. I send an NFT to Kuba. I send 2 NFTs to Tien, and I send some money to the room to help subsidize the transaction. Okay. And then you can see Paratosh is transacting with me and Hamza. So he sends each of us an NFT. And he sends off 2 candies. He gets 9.7 stacks. Hamza only has to send, this is interesting. Look, Hamza only had to send Kuba 1 NFT, but I guess Kuba liked it because look what Hamza got in return. He got 3 NFTs and some stacks. And then Kuba only has to he sends a little bit of money to Hamza, 3 NFTs up to me, and then he gets 3 NFTs that he wants. And then Tien's on the side. She sent some money to subsidize the trade, NFTs to me in Cuba, and then she got 2 NFTs that she wanted. So it's pretty
Dude,
awesome.
that is awesome.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
So cool.
Yeah.
And so the funds going to NeoSwap, was that just as the NeoSwap treasury, for example?
Yeah, you can think of it like that. Yeah, I mean, NeoSwap is a business, so it has to make money to stay alive. So there's that.
Yeah, and I think protocols and any people building these decentralized applications should make money from that.
Yeah, right. So it does make money, and also what's nice about that is when we work with artists, that's where the revenue is going to come from, right? Because we want to support artists. So that would be, you know, part of that as well. And if you've got furniture moving around and you have to pay the truck drivers to go get the furniture, that's where it's going to come from. So you create value, you capture some of it. Now you've got money to do stuff with, whether it's develop things or do things in the real world or whatever it might be. So everybody benefits. That's the whole point. What is one other point I wanted to make? But if you have other questions, go ahead, please. There was something just went right through my. I don't know. Does that have any? You have an idea, and it just like floats through.
Hey, Kurt, did we have any questions come through at all?
I don't see any questions. No.
Okay.
But how can people find out more about you? Like, I have the website here. Let me display it real quickly.
Oh yeah, I know what it was. I'll come back to it.
So essentially, this is your landing page. So if people put their email here, then they can stay on your mailing list and then stay in contact with what's happening.
Yeah.
If people want to help you test, how can they rate you?
I think they should go to our Twitter.
Okay.
And either post or send us a message. That's the best way. This is our business website, whereas the NeoSwap Meet will be the kind of public facing, like the app where people can actually engage with the tool. And then we will be providing services to marketplaces through NeoSwap.ai. So you should see before too long all sorts of tools on Swap that are or on stacks that are using NeoSwap technology.
Cool.
So, here's what I was going to say. The way the money is generated in this case is that when you list an item, there's a slight markup to the reserve price. You may have noticed prices like 3.3 or whatever. That's because there's a slight markup. Now, if we're going to find a win-win trade, it should be that you like the item more than the person who gave it up. So it helps to find win-win trades to have there be a markup, right? Because if it was just, I'll sell something for 3 stacks and 0, you'll buy it for 3 stacks. There's no real reason to do that because we value it the same. But if I'll sell it for 3, or I'll sell it for 3, you'll buy it for 4, then that's good, right? Because that shows you want it more than I do. So it actually helps us to find better trades to mark it up a little bit. And then that markup is where the revenue comes from. Because if you list something for 10, it gets marked up to 11. Then if it sells for 16, you get 15 and the room gets 1. So that's where we capture some of the value. So the bigger gap we find, the more that people get to keep for themselves. Yeah.
And is there a time limit of when the contract, like, is it 10 minutes? Is it an hour? Is it 12 hours? Like, how do you see this guy working?
Right. Okay. Well, as far as the room goes, there's different ways the room can happen because we have an event where, like, we're just going to move it along quickly, like we just did, or we could say there's 1 day to list items, 1 day to bid, 1 day to agree yes or no to possible trades. Okay. For the contract itself, Kuba, do you have the details on that in terms of when the contract will time out?
So at this moment, we don't have timeout to the contract.
It would have to be canceled. Yeah.
So the way it actually happens on Stacks is that we write a smart contract that describes this trade, and then everyone for trade to happen, everyone escrows the NFTs and Stacks into the contract.
Wow.
And once all the NFTs arrives at the escrow, they got released to whoever should get them. But if someone doesn't change their mind or are waiting too long for other users to escrow, they can cancel the trade at any time, and then everything gets released back to the original owners.
Right. It seems like you could do a NeoSwap like at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and just people come together, they do it, or you can do it per day. But that is interesting. As Zero said, we do own more NFTs than we can count. And not all of them I like. Some of them I will keep and I will never trade away, but I would definitely trade some for others.
Yeah, that's the idea. Okay.
We have a few seconds here. I did want to quickly ask. So, if there was a way to do like a smart mint with a NeoSwap, how would that work exactly?
Yeah. The way it would work is you would sell tickets. Okay. You would say it's like 50 stacks for 10 tickets or whatever. And then you would have essentially an auction where you could see the items that are in the collection and you could bid on them. Okay. Using your tickets. So then that would be the information that will be used by the NeoSwap algorithm to figure out how to hand out the items. And there's other things we could do as well. Like if there's a lot of items in a collection, like 10,000 or whatever, that's where you need to use market research techniques because you wouldn't be able to see all 10,000 items. So there's something called conjoint analysis, and there's other techniques, choice-based. There are actually techniques from market research that could be brought over here to show people. We might show you 4 items and ask you which you like best, which you like worst. Do that a bunch of times, and we'd have enough information to figure out how much you like all the items. Or we could. There's all sorts of ways to do it. So depending on how big the collection is, we might have to use market research techniques. But one way or the other, we get an estimate of how much everybody likes every item, and then we would hand them out intelligently. That's how that would work.
Okay, because I was just thinking about that because we have Bitcoin pizzas and we have some upcoming events. But then this trade this guy was offering, I was thinking because I like certain characteristics on the waist or on the Indigo Project Indigo, like the visors or swords, and other people love different accessories on those NFTs. So I just thought, wow, that would be cool. Like I can just select all of the accessories that I like. You select the ones you like, and then we match. That gets interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where some of the market research techniques have come in too. If you have traits and different possible values for those traits, it might be that different people weight the traits differently. And you can estimate, there's something called hierarchical Bayesian analysis that can be used to estimate the utility or the value associated with different traits. They're called weights, the weights of different traits. So there's all sorts of things we could do down the road. And so we're open to those ideas. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much, John, Hamza, and Kuba. This has been a phenomenal conversation. So they can find you at NeoSwap on Twitter. They can go to your website.
NeoSwap_AI.
NeoSwap_AI. Any final words here?
Say thank you. I mean, it's been great. The Stacks community is awesome. Really appreciate you all having us on here. And we'd love to hear feedback. We're developing, kind of following lean startup approach. So anyone has any ideas, feedback, please give it to us because we are adjusting course in response to what people need.
And where can people give you feedback? Should they just DM you on Twitter? Is there a link to some feedback?
I would say DM me on Twitter, message NeoSwap_AI. Yeah, you'll find me on Twitter. That's probably the best way.
Okay, great. And don't forget on Monday, we have a conversation on Twitter Space with Mechanism. And so thanks so much for your time today, guys. So awesome to hear about this tool and can't wait to use it.
Okay, great. All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.